podcast is a quest for well-being, a quest for a meaningful life through the exploration of fundamental truths. Enlightening ideas, insights on physical, mental, and spiritual health. The inspiration is love. The aspiration is to awaken new ways of thinking that can lead us to a new way of being well. Some of the topics are addiction, fear, faith, self-compassion, relationships, codependency, emotional intelligence, and more. Welcome to Body, Mind, and Soul Healing Conversations.
Self-care not only requires food, water, and exercise. A well-rounded human being needs quality time spent aligning their overall spirit, eliminating stress, finding joy, and holding on to happiness. Being grateful and taking stock of what's meaningful should take center stage. Having your head in the game and feeling your best doesn't have to be a constant, all-consuming struggle. Sometimes we have to take a step back to move forward. Change is never easy, but self-care and the positive changes it could bring about are worth exploring. Self-care is not a chore. Put value on your health and lose the guilt we associate with self-care. Taking a walk, seeing a movie, reading a book, and just breathing creates a focus on your needs and gives them value, says Ellen Postolowski. In this episode, Valeria Teles interviews Ellen Postolowski on self-care, self-love, lifestyle transformation, mindful eating, and thoughts in between. Ellen has spent most of her career assisting my clients with changes needed to implement and succeed in establishing a healthier lifestyle. Her personal struggle with food, illness, and leading a more fulfilling life led her on this path. 25 years in the culinary world, an honors graduate at the Augusta Escoffier School of Culinary Arts, in addition to certification at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, has elevated that experience and passion for helping those that are ready for change. Finding the mind-body connection is equally as important as to what's on your plate. A back-to-basics approach, common sense, commitment to that lifestyle, consistency, and being accountable is Ellen's outline offer. There is not a cure-all solution that works for everyone. Reclaiming yourself with Ellen's support can provide solutions that make for lifelong changes. Here is the interview with Ellen Postolowski.
In your own words, who is Ellen Postolowski?
Ellen Postolowski, I am the daughter of two very hardworking people. I think that I've always been a caregiver. I love to cook. I love to do things, help people. The cooking was always my passion. It became my career. I think that as I've gotten older, it has evolved into a passionate career, which I think is important to realize and to nurture. So at this point in my life, that's what is making me happy. And it's still helping, but it's more, I guess it's more awareness for myself, because I realized that I have to take care of myself before I take care of others first. Right. I feel like that's really important. So I'm still learning who I am. But
that's wonderful.
Yeah, but I it's an adventure.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we begin to talk about your book, It's Just Personal, a personal chef's essential guide to shopping, cooking, and eating smarter. I have a few questions. I call them warm-up questions. What is to be aware? What is awareness? You just mentioned that, so that came to mind.
I think being aware can be being aware of what you need, being aware of how you feel. I coach my clients to be more mindful
Yeah.
when they eat instead of mindless. It could be being aware of what you purchase, being aware of quality versus quantity, sensing and savoring and just paying attention to the whole process. And that could be from what you eat and how you eat it and when you eat it, because I think it's all connected. We can eat something and, 5 minutes later, not even realize that we weren't aware of what we were eating or how we felt. And so I think that it's important because I think it does affect us and our bodies. Might not be in that moment, but it's definitely if you're stressed out when you're eating and you're eating on the run, it's going to eventually catch up to you.
Absolutely. Would you say that awareness, mindfulness, and being conscientious, they are all the same thing?
I definitely think they go hand in hand. I think as I've evolved as a chef, I do understand like what that means more, because like I said, I think that if you're not aware and mindful, it will catch up to you and it will manifest in different ways in your body. And we do have to take care of our bodies and our minds, and kind of goes hand in hand.
So true. My next question is it's a general question. What is the world's greatest need, in your opinion?
Compassion, empathy. Yeah, I would say compassion. I just don't think there's enough compassion. And I think if we all stop and just listen to each other more, we'd accomplish a lot.
Wow.
Where'd that come from?
I like that a lot. Yeah, and that's true. If we truly listen, right, we can truly connect. So true.
I think a lot of people just need somebody to listen to them, and I found it in being a private chef, because I work in the homes of my clients, and it's a luxury price tag, but I feel that a lot of my clients just sit there and talk to me, and they talk, and they just want somebody. It's just something I've realized, that people do want somebody to listen to. And when you do listen to somebody, they figure out all of their problems and their, whatever answers. They pretty much know the answers.
Right.
I think that when you're listening and you're truly listening to somebody, it means a lot. And it could be in any situation.
I agree. It's like creating this space for clarity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so true. What is your greatest joy?
I think that love, like knowing like true love, is a big joy in my life. I definitely have some defining moments in my life. I think that they all come from love, whether it's seeing my niece born, my first niece being born, which always gets me so like choked up because it was such pure love. Joy was the day I got married. I just think moments, and I think realizing those moments and keeping them close to your heart is really important. So, just things coming together and keeping your eyes open is joyful for me.
Yeah. Wow. What is your definition of love?
My definition of love? Just my heart being full, just something bringing a smile to my face. Little things are love,
Yeah.
Spending time with my dad is love. Just knowing that I have so much love in my heart makes me happy. And that full feeling?
Oh, yeah.
Where you feel like your heart's going to burst?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people can say that they truly, I don't know. We need a lot more love in this world. I think everybody gets so caught up in the bad that we don't take time to be grateful for all the good and the love. It seems like that, like just lately to me. So I try to focus on the love instead of the hate, because there's so much hate.
I like the way you connect love to the appreciation of simple things. And then you also mentioned the word gratitude. Those are very powerful states of mind, right? I also love the words you use on your website. chefellen.com, you say live, laugh, love, and eat. And I love those words. And I have some questions based on those words, and one of which I already asked, what is love, your definition of love. But live, you said live. What is to feel alive? What is to truly live?
I think to truly live is to just follow your heart. For me, living is I feel though I've had many windows of, and I kind of define it by windows of opportunity in my life. Things have happened where it scares me. Something's been presented to me. And my first knee-jerk reaction is to say, no way, I can't do that.
Right.
But I've always thought that if a door opens and you don't go through it, then there's regrets. So as scared as I've always been when things have happened, and this has been like my stepping stones in my life, I've always gone through it. And I want to see what happens because I don't want to have regrets. Right. And something good has always happened from it. I think living is, even though you're scared, to go through it with confidence and an open heart. It's like I say, if you change nothing, nothing will change. So I think we all have aspirations and we all have wants and goals. But if you approach it with passion and love, and, if it doesn't work out, then you go back to whatever it is that you want to go back to.
Right.
I remember like going on an interview in Arizona, and it was a 24-hour thing. And I went from New Jersey, and I had time to kill, and I hiked a mountain. And I remember going to the top and just looking out, this beautiful scenery. And all I kept thinking was, there's so much out there. Like, there's just so much out there that you have to experience. So I would say that is life, and whatever you do with it, or living.
Right. I agree. Yeah, I love the way you connect truly living with embracing change and the unknown.
Mm.
What makes you laugh?
My husband. He makes me laugh every day.
So I should have asked, who makes you laugh?
It could just, silly things. It could just, I could have the worst day in the world, and I come home and my dog and my husband take it all away for the most part. But being with my friends, with good friends, make me laugh. Laughing is important. I think it's very important. It can take all your stress away in a second.
True.
Laughing at yourself is important too, because we're not perfect. And I think that's all part of self-acceptance and, and change. And
oh, yes, self-acceptance. I think I'll be asking you, I should ask now. So self-love, self-care, self-love, I think those are components of self-knowledge too. And what you do has a lot to do with that, with taking care of yourself and self-love and self-acceptance. How do we know we are there at that point of unconditional self-love and self-acceptance?
Well, I think it starts with self-care. And it took me a long time to realize that, and that being a caregiver. I think I've always been a caregiver. I was raised by people that take care of other people, and it was just something that was second nature. I always liked to cook, and it became a career for me. And I went through a time where my own health was compromised, and it made me take a step back and realize that I have to take care of myself. And I go back to, when the stewardess tells you that you have to put your oxygen mask on first before you can help somebody else.
Right.
So I started taking better care of myself. And sometimes it comes across as sounding selfish, but I do really think it's selfless, because you could get completely burnt out by always being the person that cares for the other person. And it's a really important topic to me, because it's not food and water and exercise. It's like a mind-body connection as well. Like it's, accepting who you are, and, spending like quality time aligning yourself, your true self, and, meditating or doing yoga or getting up and going for a walk, like just disconnecting and, checking yourself. And I think that's really important. And, staying on top of your health and, not ignoring things that your body is telling you, like, because
Right.
I think a lot of us ignore signs, and then all of a sudden, we're like, well, how did this happen to us?
Yeah.
Whether that's like bad, like indigestion or whatever it is, it could be something simple. And if we practice rituals and different things, like, seeing a doctor or eating healthy and not eating processed foods and, implementing different lifestyle changes, you're more aware of your body, and your body definitely tells you when something is wrong. Like, so it's important to be in tune to that.
Wow. I'm wondering, how do we know when we are practicing self-love and not selfishness?
I don't, that's a really good question. So, I mean, just being able to take care of yourself and being available. I mean, if somebody needed my help,
Right.
I would be there in a heartbeat. But you know, I, I think that if you don't take care of yourself, you're not fully capable of caring for someone else without maybe anger or resentment, or, if you do it in a loving way, then you're truly helping somebody. But if you do it in a angry way, or you're obligated, and I think there a lot of like resentment comes with that, or anger. And so I think when we're more well-rounded, and trust me, I mean, there's so many things, I know that everyone is so pressed for time. Like, for example, I mean, my clients say to me, I don't want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning to go for a run or go to take a class, or, for me, it helps me put my head on straight. So I do get up really early because it's the only time I can do that. Or I'll go for a walk after work. But for me, it makes me feel better. And then I approach things differently. It's like walking my dog in the morning. If he doesn't go for a walk, like, he's crazy all day. So, like, I think there is a difference between selfless and selfish. The selfish person is the one that's never there. I think a selfless person would approach something with more empathy.
Yeah,
in the
I
end,
agree. Because, I used the word self-love, so that already implies that there is love. And when you have love to give, that's easy to tell. You have it to give. It's within you, right? It's tough to be selfish. I think it's not possible even.
That's a good point.
So let's talk about your book. What inspired you to write It's Just Personal?
Okay, so in my profession, the question I'm asked the most is, how do you cook for other people all day and then go home and cook a good meal for yourself? And me writing that book was I wanted it to be approached in a simple way where it's not about a diet and it's not about preaching. For me, it's about common sense and back to basics. So that my book was a common sense and back to basic approach on eating healthier. There are no like strict rules, and it's just ways that I actually make that happen for me, because my reputation is as a healthy chef, and I can't go into a client's home and not be healthy. Like, I'm talking about it and how it's done, and I want to walk the walk, and I do, and I do believe in what it is that I'm selling, and it is that it's attainable and it's a lifestyle change, and you will feel better when you implement small changes that it will eventually lead to a habit, a better habit. So that's why I wrote the book. It was a very simple approach, and my, as I've evolved as a chef, like, I still revert back to that common sense, Read the labels. If it looks weird, it's probably weird. It's probably processed. Stay away from processed foods, like,
Yeah.
mindful eating. All that stuff is all comes together. I think that in my book, I emphasize a lot of, guidance and tips, techniques, organization, stocking your pantry and making time to prep, like, because preparation is key. Like, I don't like it half the time, but I still do it. It's important to me. So if it's important to me, then it makes me feel better. So I'm not I don't want it to be, if you don't have time for it, then okay, then we'll try it the next day. Like, you can't be so hard on yourself all the time, because that's not going to work. If you mess up, then that's okay, because that's life. And you just go back to it, go back to your roots and how you want to feel. And I think that that's more of a stepping stone for success.
Yeah. Yes. Going back to the self-acceptance, self-love, the mind-body connection.
Yeah.
Right. I love all that. Do you consider yourself a holistic chef?
Yes. I'm more of I went back to school in the last year and a half for more of an integrative approach on nutrition. And so that is the mind-body connection, because when I think of, when my book was published, it's more like, okay, like, you can do this and you can do that. But I believe that, what you eat and what I eat can have two different effects on our body. I think that ultimately, and by process of knowing what makes you feel good, I do a lot of eliminations, with clients that don't feel good or want to eat better. You could always eliminate and then reintroduce foods. I try to go very plant-based, and fresh fruits and vegetables, and more awareness about things like that, nutrients. So there's the integrative approach and the holistic approach, I think, are important. I think it's on the forefront of healthcare to be more mindful, and self-care goes hand in hand with what you eat.
Right.
So that's how I've evolved as a chef.
Why did you decide to become a chef?
It's a funny story. So I've always been the kid that's in the kitchen cooking with her mom. My mom is a great cook, and we grew up in a very my mother is Irish and my father is Polish. So my mom, it was a very like meat and potatoes kind of diet. Growing up, those were the staples. So I had my friend Adelina, their family very Italian, and her mother introduced me to a lot of different fruits and vegetables and pasta. And all I ever wanted to do was go home and cook for everybody. So it was, nutrition became something in my 20s that was more for me. Like, I got very interested in foods and different foods. And my first job was in a Japanese restaurant. So I was the hostess, but you couldn't find me. I was always in the kitchen and learning different things. So, eventually I was approached to cook for somebody asked me to cook for them. And it ended up being a family, because I was so into nutrition that they wanted me to come cook for them. So it became a career eventually. And then, and then I ended up going to culinary school after that, and wanted to take it to a whole new level. So I've always been surrounded by food. I have my brother-in-law owns a restaurant. I worked in a restaurant when I was younger. Different ethnicities, like, that's what really gets me excited is learning about different foods.
Yeah.
My first client was her mother. She was Lebanese and Egyptian. So when her mother would visit us, she would be in the kitchen with me cooking and showing me all the different, Lebanese ways, and loved it. I loved being immersed in that.
So it's interesting how everything comes together. There's a tendency that you already had to being around different cultures, help your mother, and helping people. It seems like you wanted to help them too. So all this just came together and became your profession. How wonderful. Who would be the perfect clients, Ellen?
The perfect clients
Yeah.
are, I think that a perfect client is someone that's open to discussing, what their current habits are, and then being open to changing little things here and there. And I definitely have clients like that now because I'm still working for them, and I have clients that are still calling me because they're like, they say, Ellen, we need to get back on track, So I think the openness and the time like devoted to changing is important, not sabotaging completely, because I've had clients that would try to sabotage my efforts. And so I don't see, it just doesn't become important to me because, I think that you have to be, I say that I support clients that are dedicated to feeling their best. So there has to be some dedication.
Yes, and I agree. Yeah, I love that word, open-minded. Yeah, that is so important in life, to be open if we want to change and make healthy change,
Sure.
positive change.
Sure.
Absolutely. Talk to me about willpower and control.
There's got to be a dedication. I think that if you approach something in a dedicated way, and I offer support. So I always say, listen, call me anytime you're having a weak moment. But most clients say, one thing I really do emphasize, because I'm thinking of somebody who was so afraid. We did a support group with 4 different people, and to eliminate, some trigger foods or inflammatory foods for 3 weeks. And she was so worried about going to a wedding in a week and a half, Yeah. And I was like, why are you worried about something that hasn't even happened yet?
All right.
So, just stay on track and follow like an 80-20 rule or a 90-10 rule, like however strict you want to be with yourself. But like, if you really want something, then you should have it, and have a little bit or have half of it, whether it's coffee or a piece of chocolate, like make that be your goal. Like instead of indulging in, what you would usually do, take little steps, because if you're too strict, you're going to fail. So I said, when you get to the wedding, worry about it then. And she ended up going to the wedding. She's like, I didn't drink. I didn't eat the meatball. It was really good. And she's like, but I didn't even want it then. So, why would you spend so much time worrying about something that didn't even happen yet? So I guess being in the moment will help you with the willpower. And then I forget what you said. What was the second part?
Trying to control ourselves.
Oh, I think that the self-control, I think that, and I talked about this a lot in my book, like you can't be so hard on yourself. Like you can't be so strict. I think that when you make changes that are positive, that definitely helps you. Like you're more apt to like make a better choice in the future. Like you're going on this like better path. So you don't want to really go back because you feel so much better. And if you do, like, I mean, I had a slice of pizza the other night that was so good. Like I was like, oh, I haven't had this in so long. But I don't think there's anything wrong with like indulging once in a while, because if you're so strict, like, then what's the fun of it?
I agree. I agree. You mentioned the plant-based diet. Your clients most of them are looking to be healthy holistically or to lose weight.
I think I definitely I'm approached more to lose weight. Everyone says they want to lose weight. So, when I did a support group a couple weeks ago, 4 people, everybody wanted to lose weight. So when we start, and I accept that, but when you're in a group and it's supportive and everybody starts to open up and trust each other, and you're in a good space, it becomes more about emotions, and you figure out triggers and self-sabotage. Why are you eating like that, or why did you eat more than you wanted to eat? And it becomes more of an awareness. I also work for clients that have to eat healthier because of medical reasons. I helped a guy who I helped keep him off of dialysis with food.
Wow.
So, and I would walk in and he'd be eating a bagel half the time. And I was like, that's not what you're supposed to be eating. But so I'm approached two different ways. I think that, everyone thinks if they lose weight, they're going to feel better. I want to bring more an awareness of what they're eating and awareness of ingredients. I always revert back to plant-based because I don't want to call it anything. I don't want to call it. And plant-based has also become very trendy. Yeah. So I don't like the word diet. I don't like the word, I call it a lifestyle change. I go back to more fruits and vegetables because that offers more of a variety. And I'll have clients saying like, I don't even know what a sunchoke was. I don't know what a Brussels sprout is. We never ate that before. So even when working with kids, the family I work for now, they have triplets, and the kids are definitely eating more of a variety, and they're accepting it. And, with children, you have to introduce foods, it can't be once or twice and I'm done. Like, you have to introduce it a couple more times. And, if they try a little bit or if they help, I always say, come in the kitchen. And if they're young, then they're great. They're like little sponges. Like, even if they push the blender, they're more interested, And so I think if you introduce a lot of different things, it works, and sometimes it doesn't work. So I believe that people definitely learn, and then that awareness comes in more, and you'll definitely pick up something and think twice about buying it, whether that's like the quality of the produce or if it's some sort of packaged item. Knowing, having more knowledge gives you more power, I guess.
I love the way you focus on the benefits of the diet or whatever method it is that we use. That's the awareness of the benefits. Like you said earlier, It has to make sense. It's common sense. Right. Not because it's trendy or because everybody else is doing around you.
Well, I hear a lot of, when I go to the gym and I talk to a lot of women and or even my clients, a lot of people want to do what everybody else is doing. Oh, my friend lost 20 pounds. Oh, my friend lost 30 pounds. I'm like, good for them, but you have to do what's right for you. Some people will go on these crazy diets because, their trainer told them to, and they're miserable. Like they're just, I'm like, you're not even happy. Like what's wrong? There's something wrong with that picture. It's not for you,
I really love your approach. And I'm curious to know if you also recommend or if you ever talk to your clients about intuitive eating.
I think it's important. I don't really get too much into it. I definitely feel that, if it works for them, then that's a good thing. I think whatever response you get from food, it's got to be, it's personal. Definitely think it's personal.
And I see that a lot of people they have not made that connection yet. They are not there yet. Self-love, self-knowledge, self-awareness, and self-everything. So in that case, you come in as that intuition or that inspiration. So that intuition just comes to life. And that's wonderful. You are, in a way, being the guide for that wisdom to come to life.
I do call myself a guide. I definitely say I'm here to guide you, but I don't make any promises because I think that has to come from the individual, whatever it is that you want to accomplish, you write that down and I will help you and I will guide you the best way I can.
Yeah. Like I heard the word facilitator too. You're just facilitating that positive change to happen, right? I'll be asking you a few questions related to your book, and I call them the 3-item questions.
Okay.
So the first one is, what are 3 items to remove from our kitchen right now?
I would say white flour, white sugar, and any sort of hydrogenated oils. No, there's probably more, but that's okay.
What 3 basic strategies can help our children to eat healthier?
I think getting your children more involved in what they eat. I think not giving up on having them try new things is also important because they say it takes anywhere from 15 to 20 times for a kid to actually try something and then be more accepting, So
Yeah.
patience is important when you're trying to change any habits or introduce foods. I think kids love being involved in the kitchen. I
Mm.
spent a lot of time early in my career with children's groups, whether it were, Girl Scouts or cooking demos. And it
Yeah.
was the simplest thing, like definitely simple. If that's a fruit parfait or a smoothie, with 3 ingredients, keep it simple with them is also important. But when a child is involved in any process of cooking and you can have them. I used to give my first client, because the kids were always there, they were 3 years old and they just wanted to be in the kitchen, especially one of them. I would give them like a banana and a paper plate and a plastic fork. And they would just sit there and like cut up fruit and they thought they were making dinner. Like they loved being involved.
It's a great way to motivate them, inspire them to eat healthy,
Yeah,
right?
it's just like anything positive. I don't think it could. I think you're going in the right direction.
Yes, absolutely. What are 3 of your favorite appetizers?
Appetizers,
Yeah.
olives. I'm a
Olive.
big fan of olives. I love grape leaves, and I'm a big fan of Mediterranean food. So I would
Mm.
say like an eggplant appetizer. Anything that's like creative or innovative, someone takes something to a different level. I love tapas, so go somewhere
Good.
and have small plates is a lot of fun for me.
What are 3 of your favorite healthy desserts?
Healthy desserts. Okay, I love making chocolate avocado mousse. I make like yogurt with dried mulberries on it and fruit. I'd have to say anything with like chocolate in it. I love dark chocolate.
Oh, wow. And that's so healthy, isn't it?
And the darker, the better.
Right.
Yeah, I would say I love key lime pie, but I mean, I try to. My thing is, I take decadence and I try to make it healthier. So if I like show up at your house with like a chocolate mousse, it might be avocado mousse, and the crust is probably made out of something healthy. But I try not to tell people because then they get scared. And
Wow.
usually they're very impressed and they love it.
Yeah. Without even knowing that's so
Hmm.
healthy for you. How wonderful. Before I move on, asking you a few more questions, I call them the final questions. Would you like to add anything?
I just no, I think you asked me a lot of great questions that that took me off guard. But I loved answering them. So yeah, I love your questions.
And I love your answers and your energy. Yeah, thank you, Ellen. So my last questions, what is success to you? How do you define success?
I think success for me at the end of the day is appreciating the beauty of what I do. I think the passion, my husband always says to me, he's like, just speak from your heart because you're so
Mm,
passionate about it. Like
right.
it's just it should be effortless because you do it with such passion. I think that for me has become my success, and then not getting stale and evolving is important because it's like we're always changing, right? And
Yeah.
then things change and you either adapt or you don't. It's like getting my father to drink celery juice was like it was such a feat, but like, now he's drinking it. So being open is success. There's, and Yeah, it's just diversity and, appreciation for having. My job is different. It's often very admired by
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
They all say they want a private chef, and I was like, well, think twice about it. It's a lot of work.
Right.
But I also love what I do. But I've changed what I do as I've gotten older to work better with the way that with my time. And because when you get older, you realize that you don't have as much time, or you want more time, or whatever it is. So for me, that success is maybe like that self-love and self-acceptance and self-care.
Yeah. And having your father drinking that celery juice.
That's success. Believe me, if you knew my father.
That was funny and beautiful. What was the hardest lesson to learn about yourself and life as of today, Ellen?
I think the hardest lesson for me was actually stopping and finding time for myself, because I did I feel like I'm always go, 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 go. And I really had to stop and check myself. And I still do it, but I'm more aware of it. And, the whole day will fly by, and I realize I don't sit down or I don't stop and eat. And I had to change a lot of that. So that's definitely important to learn and realize, because you can't keep on giving, 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 giving. And I go back to that, because it will catch up to you, because you end up not loving what you do. You end up being unhappy. You might be resentful, whatever it is. But, if we get in the car and just take a drive, for 20 minutes or a half hour, or spend the day doing something, or, whatever it is, that's important. I do have to spend a lot of time, preparation is important in my line of work, but I think I'm more aware of my time and how important that is.
Yeah. Yeah, that can change everything, right?
Sure.
Every moment by moment, right? If you knew you would die soon, in a sense of losing the body, would you make any change in your life?
I don't know. I guess I would. I think I would make it, and I think this just goes hand in hand with what I was just saying. I would make it more about me. So, I don't think that many of us realize how precious the time is that we have. And I talk about it a lot more, definitely recently, about just being in the moment and every day, and being grateful for what it is I have, and seeing what's right in front of me. And so that's a tough one.
Yes, it is.
I always say I want to live in a blue zone where it's, one day I'm just going to pack it up and leave. So I think that the quality of life is important to me, very important.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And as you said many times, I think I said too, we have been talking here about self-love, self-acceptance. Yeah. Just embracing ourselves more each moment and being the best we can be, living that balance, I guess, right? We can still love ourselves, give a lot to ourselves, and have enough to give others and the world. Do you believe in life after death?
Yeah.
What kind of life?
I believe that there is something way bigger than all of us. I believe that there's definitely something else to what's here now. And I believe that living a good life and a fulfilling life, but a loving life, is very important. I think that I always, when my niece was born and I looked at her face and I was there, it's like I saw an old friend. So I knew her, and it was such a defining moment, where I think that that love was so strong that that's something you'll always have in your heart. So, whether we're here or somewhere else, I think that we're very connected. I think there's people you meet in your life that you feel that connection with. And that's kind of like the spiritualness that I carry. I was raised in a very Irish Catholic family. So, there is a promise of something better and fulfilling and, something beyond your wildest dreams, whatever you want to call it. But I believe that there is something really powerful, whether it's, waiting for us or here now, or we're all interconnected.
Yeah.
But, I think anybody that we know here, like my dad always says, you're always in my heart. And I think that when you carry love in your heart like that, like it always comes back around, or it's recycled or whatever it is, or, like I ponder a lot of that. Like, do we learn something in this life and come back and then learn what we didn't learn, or, so it's a big question. I don't know exactly, but I definitely believe.
Yeah. You said something interesting, something better awaits us in a way. So I'm wondering if we can experience this something better here and now. Do you think it's possible?
Of course, I think it's possible. Yeah.
Right. And through love. What's better than love?
What's better than love? Someone gave me, I remember once I was in my, and it's funny, I just found it yesterday. I was in my 30s, so I'm in my 50s now. This was a while ago. I got my nails done, and I saw on the wall, it said, God is love. And I love that.
Yeah.
And I told her, I was like, oh, that's such a nice thing. And she's like, here, then you should have it.
Oh, wow.
She took it off the wall and she gave it to me.
That's
and I still have it. And I think that is, whatever your God is, or your higher power or your belief, it should be love. Like, I think that love, everything comes back to love. Everything, my husband and I didn't get married in a church, and my mom and dad said, but you're not getting married in the eyes of God. And I'm like, well, if God is love, then love is here, then God is here. Like,
yeah, true.
I think we're definitely capable of better, bettering ourselves, of, better life.
Yeah.
I think that life gets in the way, and, how we live it. And so.
Yes, I love that too. Yeah, God is love. I often say that and try to make this connection when I talk to my guests. Yep. What are 3 things about life you know for sure? For sure. Let me emphasize.
3 things I know for sure. I know that I'm a good person. I know that I have a great support system, and I know that I'm on the right path for now. And I think that you pretty much know when you're not, and I think when you're uncomfortable, change wants to happen.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes you really have to let it happen, because then we're always uncomfortable. And to be in the moment and to be accepting of where you are. And there's definitely been times in my life where, and I always say, like, if you keep your eyes open and you really look around, there's so many different things that you really can notice. And I think I've had times in my life where I've been so afraid, but then something has happened to let me know that I'm exactly where I should be.
Right. So true. That resonates. Yeah. So true. It has been a beautiful, meaningful, and genuine conversation, Ellen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Valeria.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it.
Where can we find more information about you, your books, products, services, and future projects?
My website is chefellen.com. I am on Instagram at Chef Ellen, and I do a lot of my postings there, and whether that's food or health-related information. I've got a lot in the works right now as far as support groups and wellness and figuring out what my new niche is and the direction I'm taking with the integrative nutrition. But I think it's, between my site and my Instagram account, and it's kind of all connects and good things happen.
Right. I didn't ask you a question. It came to mind now. Do you also help people dealing with eating disorders?
I think I definitely, not knowingly, I have. And I think that goes back to emotional eating. And
Right.
when you listen with an empathetic ear and let someone talk, usually things unfold like that. But
Yeah.
I definitely know when to, or how far to go, and then when to let a professional step in. So, and that goes with the guidance. I'm not a doctor. I definitely say I'm more of a guide, but I do believe in doctors, that there are good doctors out there that genuinely care as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like the word you use, the term emotional eating. Yes, because we often eat emotionally. And that's when things, most of the time, go wrong. Yeah, that's great awareness too to put out there. So thank you so much again. And I'll talk to you soon, Ellen. Thank you.
All right, Valeria. Thank you.
Bye for now.
Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about Ellen Postolowski, please visit her website, chefellen.com.
To learn more about this podcast, please visit fitforjoy.org/podcast. I want to thank the Patreon members, Lawrence McGrath, Mark Basden, Terry Clayton, and Aidan Vickrock. Thank you again for listening, and bye for now.